everybody, Max here with Ryan McCaffrey. PlayStation VR 2 is out on February 22nd, and one of the big, albeit sort of under-talked about things that comes with it is a free update for Gran Turismo 7, which is the entire game in VR, and Ryan, you got a chance to check it out.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, Max, I went in just thinking, yeah, it'd be cool to just see GT7 in VR, free update. I love cars, I've enjoyed GT7, sure, why not? I have to say, I came out like legit kind of blown away. Like, it is such a great fit for VR. I know it's not the first racing game to do VR, but it's the first major console racing game to do VR in a easy couch way. It was actually my first time with PSVR 2, period. Fidelity's great, like physically, like the headset feels good, which I was expecting. So all good on the tech side, but I told them, well, I used to have a DeLorean, so yeah, can you load up the DeLorean for me? Because they do have one in the game. And it looks awesome in there. It's whatever one they scanned and modeled in the game, they did a pristine job building it. And then you can go to the VR showroom and actually, while you can't actually get up and literally like walk around your play space and walk around the car, you do use the thumbsticks to change angles. You can be in the cockpit of the car. And so this is gonna sound stupid and ridiculous, and I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I'm putting myself out there. Having owned a DeLorean for 12 years, over thousands of hours, 50,000 miles, I drove that car. It really was like I was sitting in the car again. Like, I mean, that's how.
That's not the core. That's not corny. That's the idea. Like, that's the goal here. That's awesome.
I know it sounds. It's almost like it's like Sony fed me a line, but it's like they really
like Spider-Man.
They did not. No, it's. I kind of needed a moment where I was like, because I sold the car 11 years ago, so it's been a while since I've actually been in one, and I was like, whoa, like this is like
Chewy, we're home. Yeah,
it was really awesome, and so then I just started jumping into races. So I started with the DeLorean, then I moved to the Tesla Model S, which is another car. I have a family member that had one, so I've spent a lot of seat time in that car. And then I finished I was like, well, just give me a supercar. We loaded up a Lamborghini that I'll never get to sit in, let alone drive in real life. But starting with the DeLorean on the track, just being able to, I know this sounds silly, but just being able to look over and see the other drivers and see the other cars is awesome. And even more ridiculous, but in a great way, is, I know every inch of what a DeLorean looks like from the inside, from the outside, and just just for fun, like, I'm gonna turn my head around to look out the back window, and it's all just perfect. You have the rear sunshade louvers of the car, and this game is meant to be a driving simulator. It always has been, and PSVR 2 absolutely takes that to a more awesome level. It does exactly, like, it is a perfect complement to what GT7 already does. It enhances, like, it, and the fact that it's just a free update. I think if you have the slightest interest in cars, if you don't already own GT7 and you're buying a PSVR 2, you got to get this. I mean, it was just so great, and all the side view mirrors work properly, which they do in every modern racing game now, and the rear view mirror. It's all fantastic. Like, it even fooled my body a little bit into like a sense of like that I'm in the car going, and I only noticed it because I noticed it when it broke, which was when I came too hard into a turn and had to slam on the brakes, and that's when my brain went, oh wait, my body here is not feeling like a physical sensation of slowing down quickly. And I was like, oh, okay. On a couple of the courses have like big dips, little hills, and my stomach did do the like classic VR thing that happens to a lot of us of like, I didn't quite like that, but it plays perfectly. It's 100. I checked with Sony, 120 frames per second in each eye, so it's flying frame rate wise. It looks great. Jumping into the Tesla was equally awesome. They even have, this is like the dumbest little nitpick, but It's a 2012 Model S, so they have like the original, one of the first year ones, and they have the old UI. Like the software UI in the car has been like redone 4 times, but they have the 2012 UI in the car. Again, this is all stuff that's in the existing regular PS5 TV screen version, but yeah, the bottom line, Max, is that the VR just, it really enhances this specific game in a way that I just wasn't expecting it to really up my interest in GT7 as much as it did.
That's really like, VR will take something that is mundane or familiar and make it a completely new experience, and that's really cool to hear about this. And I think it was great that we sent you to go check this out because you're so familiar with a DeLorean or a Tesla. Like you're one of our go-to car guys. Can we talk a little bit about the actual PSVR 2 itself?
Sure.
What was your input on this? Was it the new controllers?
So they had me. I did a little with the DualSense. It does not seem to, or they gave me no indication that it uses the hand. I forget what they're calling them now. The new controllers, but it doesn't seem to use those. So it was DualSense, but then they actually had a full steering wheel and pedals set up because it's like does everybody have that? No, but do like hardcore GT7 guys that are willing to spend $600 on PSVR? Like, yes. So this is not an unrealistic scenario for a lot of people that are going to play GT7 and PSVR 2. So, it was cool to have an actual wheel while I'm tearing down the track in the DeLorean. And but yeah, tried it on the DualSense 2. Feels great. One thing I wasn't expecting is, inevitably I've hit the wall a few times, and there is force feedback in the PSVR 2 itself. So just hit the wall and get a little shake on the headset, which, being honest, it wasn't bad, but I don't think it really necessarily added a ton to it.
More of a gimmick than a proper immersion.
Yeah, that was. I could do without it, but it's like, it's interesting that it's there, but worth mentioning nevertheless.
Nice. Now, one thing they've hyped up about the PSVR 2 is the sort of foveated rendering, where it basically it keeps track of where you're looking, and it really puts all the rendering energy into those specific spots. Did you notice anything different about sort of what it was like to? It's a weird question. Like when you're looking at what's going on in the VR headset.
Yeah.
Did anything jump out at you about that?
No, it looked. There's no screen door effect. No, like it played great. Like in the menus, the static menus, you could see it didn't look as clean and crisp as it does on a regular TV screen, but in the game, in motion, everything looks and plays phenomenally. So it was a solid first impression for me for PSVR 2, which I personally have pre-ordered. Like I've got some money on the line for this. I don't know if I would have canceled my order if I'd been completely disappointed in this or not. I don't know if it would have gone that far, but the fact that I was expecting the ergonomics of it to be good because the ergonomics of PSVR 1 are really good. And yeah, I guess I haven't tried the proper new controllers, but the headset itself seems great, and just really awesomely surprised by how much VR added to GT7. So from my own DeLorean experience, I can tell you that it really is probably the closest you'll get to sitting in your dream car. Like I've had the pleasure of owning that dream car and seeing it in the game, and it was shocking in an amazing way of how one-to-one it was.
I mean, it's got to be like, seeing an old friend or
going
to your old apartment or something.
It really was.
I think it's also kind of clearly there's, the same attention of detail applied to all the different cars, but DeLorean is, I'd say, more of a thing that appeals to a specific type of enthusiast, maybe more the pop culture crowd than the true gearhead. But the fact that they commit just as much of detail to that's huge.
Yeah.
As far as the headset, did anything how is it weight-wise? How does it sort of feel compared to the original?
Seemed fine. They had these big giant headphones on me, which I like the PSVR 1, and I presume the 2, I think, has just the little earbuds it'll come with, so I think I would rather something like that than the big giant cans on your head. But yeah, it felt great. It's got the feature that I think some of the higher end PC VR headsets have there's a pass-through button on the bottom side. So, if you need to see the real world, it'll be a black and white display of what's really in front of you using an external camera rather than having to take the headset off, do whatever you need to do in the real world and then refit the whole thing to your face.
Cool. Well, that's a huge vote of confidence. I feel like the PSVR 2 has been a little bit of an unknown quantity in terms of, how Sony's been showing it off and marketing it, but
it still needs some big games. This counts. I really think, even though it's a game that came out a year ago, this is awesome, and certainly Horizon. Every time we do a video that even is in this neighborhood, I'm going to mention Half-Life Alyx. Let's go, Sony.
Put it on
Call
there.
Valve, let's go. But yeah, it still needs some more particularly high-profile AAA caliber games, but really impressive with GT7.
Cool. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for chatting about this. If you want to hear our thoughts about PlayStation, I do a weekly show, Beyond, all about PlayStation. Ryan does a weekly show all about Xbox, Unlocked. You also do a weekly show about Tesla, Ride the Lightning. So, car guy, video game guy, good guy to talk to about video games. If you want to hear more about PlayStation VR, PlayStation, Xbox, all those good things, keep it right here on IGN. Thanks for watching.